Today I wanted to talk a little bit about what I have learned so far being a psychic medium, which is something that I've only been kind of learning about and living experiences with for about a little under 2 years, a little over 1 year, somewhere around there. I'll say 1.5 years to be safe, frankly, as of recording this. And I find that being outside, even if it's just being in a car with the window open, helps a lot. And so, we're gonna talk about it while experiencing some nature ASMR. Hopefully you could hear that too. But when it comes to experiencing what it's like to be a medium, at first it was a very slow journey. And by that I mean it was a rapid start with a lot of fear, and the process of learning what happened during that rapid start was the slow journey. I won't go too much into it, but I had a ghost experience in a graveyard in the end of 2020 that was quite significant, frankly. Very, substantial for me, and terrifying, I'll be honest. There were parts of it that I couldn't necessarily explain, and I, at that time, was somebody who, if I didn't have the answers, it would drive me crazy. I would try to figure it out and come up with some explanation for it, try to justify it, right? I'm no longer that person. This is 2020. I'm filming this in 2026. So it's been a fucking minute. And excuse my French. But when it comes to, after I think about a year or two, maybe, yeah, give or take, I healed, saw a therapist, a psychiatrist, tried to make sure that I was able to justify what is reality and what is not, right? And I, after a while, came to a kind of sense of comfort almost by that story. The story that has ranged from me taking literally 6 hours to tell it, and then telling it so much that I can get it down to an hour, give or take 30 minutes. But, I think about that moment a lot. I literally call it, like, the graveyard moment, or the graveyard incident, if you will, because that moment changed the trajectory of my life. And that word trajectory has been coming up a lot recently. That idea, though, that being able to translate, almost, for the other side in ways that I don't understand and yet are substantial to the people who do understand. I won't go in too much into it, but I had an experience with a friend of mine, a new friend, I should say, one that I've only met a couple of weeks ago. And the other night we were talking, and they were like, hey, a bee just flew into my car. Okay. I'm not gonna move, but I'm a little bit scared. Okay, anyways, I'm gonna keep going. There's a bee in my car. Please don't get near me. Thank you. Love you. Respect you. I'm a little bit scared of bugs. It's okay though. Okay. I'm not editing this. Okay. Anyways, as I was saying, I was having this experience with this friend, and they were like, do you see anybody with me right now? And I was like, let's find out. And I just stood there for a couple of seconds, and I could see, like, an outline. A very low opacity, grainy outline is the only way I can really describe it. When I used to do ghost tours, I would describe it as, like, seeing something move within a TV static, in a way. Except for this time, it wasn't moving, it was just a figure there. Very low opacity, not really able to make out any physical features within my eyes. But as soon as I looked at it, a name came to mind. I won't say what name, that's this person's story. But a name came to mind. And I was like, yeah, XYZ, said their name. And they were like, oh, the bee is right next to me. Oh, it's okay. Oh my god, okay. You can't see it on the frame, but it's right in front of me, and it's flying, and everything's gonna be fine, and everything's okay. Cannot believe I'm filming this. Anyways, I'm gonna keep going. But I said the name of the person. Just like, let's see if it matches. Because we were also outside during this, hence why I'm outside right now. And when you're outside, it's anybody could be passing by, dead or alive, frankly. So with this, sorry, I'm still thinking about the bee in the car. Anyways, with this person, I said the name and it matched. And I could see the recognition on their face that I mentioned that name in particular. And they mentioned later on, within a 2-hour conversation we had afterwards, about how they weren't expecting that to be the name that would come up, but it did. And I was able to describe some things about the stature of the person, the description of them, a little bit of like an age range, some physicality things. Once again, I won't give details, but the idea of like, it almost was like describing a mugshot in a way, of like X color hair, this color eyes, like this height, stuff like that. And after they were able to connect to like who this person is to them, I don't know where the bee is, but I can hear it in the car. I'm gonna keep going though. I was able to speak for the spirit. And this friend of mine had been dealing with a lot recently, and immediately this spirit was giving this energy of support in a way that I don't think they would have understood as verbally as I was able to give it. It was literally, I just closed my eyes and just tried to quiet my mind as much as possible. And whatever thoughts came to mind that didn't necessarily feel like it was just me saying whatever I wanted to say, which is part of the medium thing, I think. One of the biggest things about being a psychic medium is understanding what is you and what is not you. And part of that is knowing who you are as a person, what kind of thoughts you have as a person, what kind of core beliefs, what phrases and terminology you yourself use on a common everyday basis. Because when you hear something in your brain that is not like evil by any means, but it's just not you, it's probably somebody else. And in this case, it was very clear it was this person's person, frankly. I believe it was a grandfather, so I can probably divulge that. And this grandfather figure was so supportive in ways I was able to physically like say out loud, like the idea of their right hand being on the friend's right shoulder. And I was like, have you felt this before? He's doing this right now. And sure enough, they were feeling it, and they had felt that sensation a handful of times. And being able to just speak for those who cannot be heard on the other side in a way that was able to bring my friend solace and comfort. After the 2-hour conversation of just going back and forth with, hey, you're going with this, what does this person want to say? Hey, you're going through this, what does your grandfather want to say? As well as other figures came front too after a while. Once again, this was a 2-hour conversation. In just a parking lot. It was amazing how they texted me and they were like, that conversation moved me so much. And to me, it was just listening to my intuition. My intuition was saying, say this, and I said this. And after doing it for a couple of minutes, the connection kept getting stronger to the point where I was able to literally predict things that they were feeling without knowing they were feeling them. Saying words and names that I had no intention of physically saying, but my mouth just kind of altered it to say it. For context, I won't say what the name is, but I said a word that if you say it wrong, it sounds like a person's name, and that person's name ended up being my friend's father. So, I didn't know that. For context, I only met them like a couple weeks ago, maybe 2 or 3 as I'm recording this. So, stuff like that, where it was just like, it flowed so well, the like ease of translating. It felt like a lot like translating, even though we were just speaking English the entire time. But being able to be like, there's a figure standing right there, and their name is this, and they want to say this. And being like, when they move, I can tell. And I want to emphasize that it's not like I'm seeing it like you're seeing me right now. It was such a vague, and it always usually is. Always usually is an oxymoron. It usually is. Sometimes it's a speck of an orb of a color. Sometimes it's a little bit more high opacity, and I'm able to catch out like hats or skin color. Rarely, but sometimes. Sometimes. it's incredibly interesting to me how there's this thing I'm able to do. And it used to terrify me when I first started because I didn't know what it was. But the more that I got to know what it was going on and able to hone in and focus, and on the flip side of that, also know how to put my boundary up and not have to worry about ghost stuff when I'm, for example, driving a vehicle. Not exactly safe to be like, okay, show me ghosts when I'm physically driving, you know? Or like right now, I'm trying to focus on speaking, and my job is to focus on speaking. So probably not the best time to start thinking about ghost stuff, right? So boundary up. Stuff like that. And affirming to myself that I know what is the correct thing to say, even if I might not understand why, because I know how to trust myself. And that's where we go back to the biggest thing about being a psychic medium is just learning to trust yourself. Trusting who you are as a person, trusting that when you hear something that's not you, and you can trust yourself to know that it's still safe to say, because I have, in the past, dealt with intrusive thoughts, and it's horrible. It's not fun. And that has taught me a lot about not every single thing that pops into my head is something that I align with, that I agree with, other words and synonyms to say the same thing, you know? But that ability, as terrifying as it is, like, to get intrusive thoughts and then have to be like, okay, I don't align with this is not who I am, is a very similar practice to being a medium and getting a thought and being like, that doesn't sound like something that I would say, but it's consistent with another's narrative. So, like, for the example of medium talking to a person, right? I was saying things in certain phrasing that were not usually the ways I would phrase things, but it sounded recognizable to the person I was talking to, my friend. Excuse me, I have to itch my nose, which is another thing that I have where if, like, spirit is with me or, like, there's, you know, protection, my nose will itch. So that's been fun, I guess. But no, I want to talk about it because me 6 years ago would have loved a video about this, about just somebody just talking about what it's like and how you get through the horrors of it all, because there were horrors, and kind of like with people who are alive, people who are dead, same thing. You could be great or you can also suck. And so there are spirits who are great. Love talking to them. I don't talk to them often, but when I do, they're awesome. Very nice people. And sometimes they suck. And learning how to deal with that, right? Learning how to protect yourself and to take care of yourself, both before you do something like this, during the process of communicating, and then after, you know, the clear boundaries of making sure you say goodbye when you're done. And if you can, I've learned that, like, the little, like, what do you call them? I guess spots in, like, a parking lot kind of work as, like, a little, like, okay, this is our box. So we're gonna stay in this box, especially since my car was parked in the box, so it was literally just, like, a box with my car being one of the four sides. And, like, stuff like that. Like, we didn't plan it to happen that way, it just did. And that's kind of how being a psychic medium feels. I didn't think that I would go down this path at all, especially when I was a kid, but growing up and learning more about it and the experience with it, it just makes more and more sense to me why I do this. And as I say that, there's a car passing by. The color blue could be significant. Blue is the throat chakra. I think of it as, like, speaking your truth. So this feels like speaking my truth, which is nice. I remember as a kid, I used to see figures sometimes. Usually when I was trying to sleep, and I would be absolutely fucking terrified. And I don't think about those times very often because there's still that, like, inner child that's scared of that. But as an adult, I know what that was. Maybe not to the exact detail, but I know enough to not be scared of it, which is a big thing when it came to learning about this experience of being a psychic medium. Learning about it makes me less scared about it because learning makes me less ignorant, and ignorance is not bliss, it's disguised fear, frankly, especially if you're choosing it. So me choosing not to be ignorant about this, choosing to do research and learn about it, and get myself more familiar and acquainted with the terminology, with the different types of experience that you can have with being a psychic medium, and different ways that you can communicate similar same ideas, you know? I think of like the tarot and how, yes, there's a relative similar way that everybody reads tarot, but also there are so many different ways you can interpret cards, interpret messages, interpret decks. There's also multiple hundreds, thousands of different types of decks. It's similar routine, but everybody's different. Very similar to being a psychic medium. The routine of start communication, keep mind clear, keep vessel clear as possible, sober. I don't drink alcohol, period. And I'm trying to make sure I don't do anything else. Frankly, I'm working on it. But keeping as clear as possible and calm. And knowing that you might not understand exactly what's going on, but you can understand enough to know that you're safe to continue going on. Excuse me. Confirmation burp. I can't talk. Which I think is a lot to do with being a medium, is learning. And then trusting yourself that you have learned, so that way you can act accordingly. And I mean that both as in a very, like, ritualistic, like, learning how to say goodbye when you end a thing. Like, it's a very common example. And I also mean that in very loose, flowy ways, where it's when you get a thought that isn't yours and you can tell it's a spirit talking, being able to literally hear the different types of voices without actively hearing the voices. Like, there's not voices here. Nah. And frankly, I like to keep it that way. I'm good. Not for me. But in here, and only when I open up that boundary, only when I make it very clear, hey, you know, I'm not saying it now because I don't want to right now, because I'm talking, but I have no idea where that bee went, and I'm kind of scared, but I'm just gonna hope that it's okay. Okay, anyways. Just being able to experience it in such a almost metaphorical way. It's surreal is a better word for this. This idea that you're able to, I'm able to, and anybody, really, I mean, anybody can be psychic. The whole idea about psychic is just being able to trust your gut, that gut feeling. And if you practice trusting that gut feeling over and over and over again with everyday decisions in life, and also big decisions in life, then you can learn to trust that gut feeling for things outside of your normal parameters of knowledge. So, like, knowing a friend's dad's name without really actually knowing it was the dad's name, you know? Stuff like that. Letting yourself speak because you know what you are speaking is safe. Because you can trust yourself to know that what you are speaking is safe. Because you did the work. You did the learning, the research. And I say did in the past tense, but I'd like to always be learning, like in life in general, even outside of medium psychic stuff. Like, I'm just a person who constantly wants to be learning new things. Keyword, new things. I don't want to relearn the same painful lessons of the past. I learned those already, and they hurt, and I'm good. I don't want to do that again. But I would love to constantly in life be learning new things. And so even if for this particular video, talking about learning how to be the most ethical and safe and comforting psychic medium that I can for people, being able to see the emotional gravitas of a person's face as they are witnessing the unimaginable. I think about it a lot, and my camera's gonna overheat, so I need to end this soon. But I just wanted to say, if you're thinking about it, be careful, but you probably should, because it teaches you so much more about who you are as a person and your role in this world and what you can offer to people when it comes to solace and comfort and connection. Human one-on-one connection. Just be careful. But if you're here, you probably already are. So, I hope you enjoyed this little video, because my camera's going to overheat, so I'm going to quickly do my outro. If you're still here, feel free to check out my linktree in my YouTube description and YouTube bio to help donate money to Palestine, Sudan, Congo, Yemen, and Haiti, as well as many, many more. The whole point of that linktree is to help put money to frankly, places where people can help people live better lives. I didn't say that entirely correctly, a little stuttery Stanley, but it's okay. The point is, though, if you want to donate, check out that linktree. Also, if you're an immigrant, particularly in the USA, I hope you have a very safe, relaxing day. Maybe get a chance to talk to a medium or a psychic and get a tarot reading. Up to you. To your own comfort level, of course, always. But I hope you have a fantastic, safe day. And I'll catch you guys next time. Oh, also, regardless of immigration status, I love you. Have a fantastic, safe day. Apologies for messing up that one part, but sincerely, you're human, and therefore you deserve to have a nice day. So, have a nice day. Peace. I can't reach the camera. It's fine. And cut. I'm probably not going to actually cut there. LOL.